Previously, in the mirror between us. A tree of gears and bronze descended from the skies, carried by rainbow-winged birds. From its roots came emissaries who delivered a single decree: prove yourselves, or step aside. The family plunged into the gauntlet, drills that multiplied, worms that split, scanners that turned battle into rhythm, and a climb that punished every step. Gear by gear, they forced their way higher into the heart of the machine. At the hollow, two vast yellow eyes blinked awake. The owl's voice bent their thoughts into questions sharper than steel. Who is better? Who deserves it? Who can defeat yourself? Their reflections shattered, but the hollow had not finished. And now the gauntlet continues. The hum came first. Not wings, but turbines, a rising whine that rattled their teeth and set every nerve on edge. Then the sky blackened. A swarm descended, brass-bodied bees, their wings chopping the air like rotor blades, every abdomen clicking and reloading like a chamber. The first volley came in bursts, machine gun stingers raining down. A single shot burned. A dozen lit the veins like fire, locking muscle with lightning. Grandpa Fury swung wild, smashing two from the air. 5 more took their place. Riot slashed, rolled, cut another, but the hail was endless. Then Kalm planted her stance, face set, breath steady, and the sound started again. Riot shouted over the chaos, "Why are you making that ridiculous beat? There's not even a fake light show here." But the rhythm carried. 120 beats per minute, her exhale was the metronome, and the storm slowed to its measure. Step/dodge beat. Step/dodge beat. Even Fury found himself sinking, his swings landing on the downbeat, each smash like a drum. Together, they broke through the storm, carving toward the heavy gunners hidden at the swarm's core. Kalm smirked through the chaos. What, Begor? Eat, sleep, rave, repeat. The last wave cracked, wings breaking, stingers smoking on the bark. For now, the hum had fallen silent. They didn't have long to rest. The trunk groaned beneath them, and a thunderous hiss split the air. Columns of scalding vapor roared skyward, turning the whole section of the tree into a forest of geysers. The only way forward was up. The 3 of them worked quick, lashing scraps of bark and canvas together into makeshift gliders. Steam shimmered around their faces, wet and burning. Each vent opened and closed with no warning, a rhythm to learn, or a death trap if they missed it. Riot tested first, sprinting into the plume with a half-wrecked kite strapped to his shoulders. The blast caught him and yanked him upward like a rag doll. His laughter broke through the steam. "Reverse parachute, baby!" Kalm rolled her eyes, twirled her 3-headed axe until it blurred into a disc, then launched herself into the next vent. The weapon whirled above her like the blades of a helicopter, lifting her higher with a scream of metal and air. She spun through the geyser's fury, then snapped to a perfect landing on the branch above. Grandpa Fury snorted at them both, opened a battered umbrella he'd scavenged from the debris, and let the steam carry him like some absurd muscle-bound Mary Poppins. "See? Style," he muttered. Each vent was only a checkpoint. Branch to branch, platform to platform, the climb never relented. But the branches weren't idle. Metallic vines dripped streams of boiling oil. Swinging piston arms slammed down in perfect arcs, forcing them to dodge on rhythm. Buzzsaw blades spun out of nowhere, biting across the paths like it was just another Tuesday. Riot slid, rolled, hopped, his armor sparking with near misses. Grandpa Fury, wheezing but grinning, swung past him. "Best workout I've had in years. You think this is a community membership thing, or do we have to pay per class?" Kalm deadpanned back, slipping between 2 saws without even blinking. "Not a real workout unless there's risk of losing a limb, Grandpa. Keep up." They pushed through. Steam carried them higher. Obstacles tested their reflexes, until finally a branch unlike the others caught them in its grip. The surface shifted underfoot. This wasn't bark. This wasn't gear. It was silk. A lattice of metallic threads stretched across the branch, gleaming with sticky oil. The moment their boots touched down, it clung. Each move only wounded them deeper, like conveyor belts dragging them forward. The web stretched into a tunnel, pulling them toward the shadow ahead. Something vast was waiting. The web floor gave way beneath them, sucking them down. Slower than a fall, faster than escape. Every struggle just wrapped them tighter. Tiny robot spiders scuttled along the strands, weaving fresh silk the instant a thread snapped. There was no tearing free. The hole yawned wider below. The glow of oil and grinding steel waited like a furnace. Grandpa was nearest. The web jerked him off the line in a single violent tug. He grunted, teeth clenched, and barked out a last warning. Too fast. Sorry, kids. Then he was gone into the black. Kalm snarled, thrashing, rage breaking through her voice. I'm not going out like this. She ripped one arm loose, just enough to fling herself sideways into the grinder's maw. Sparks lit her silhouette. Riot, she shouted, her voice sharp as steel. You deserve the armor. Then she vanished in a shower of grinding gears. Riot froze. Every muscle screamed to fight, but the web dragged him onward no matter how he clawed. His breaths turned shallow, chest heaving. This was it. The void swallowed him whole. He tumbled, gasping, and hit the ground with a painful thud. Not teeth. Not claws. Just bark, dry, clean bark. The tunnel peeled away behind him like a husk shedding off skin. The grinders weren't shredders at all. They were brushes, stripping every thread of silk from his body, scraping the family clean as if spit out from a car wash. Riot rolled, dizzy, and realized he'd landed squarely on Grandpa Fury's chest. Kalm was sprawled beside them, blinking, bruised but alive. They stared at each other. Exhausted, disoriented, and stunned, still alive. That was when they saw them, cyborg monkeys. Their skulls weren't skulls at all. They were transparent jars, craniums full of gray matter laced with circuitry, glowing faint green like data streams caught in a net. Every one of them had chrome hands, twitching with nervous precision. And every one of them wore a ridiculous tie-dye lab coat. Kalm rubbed her eyes. What am I looking at? That's not possible. One monkey dropped from a branch, landing light as a falling leaf. It scribbled notes on a glowing tablet, voice clipped and absent-minded. Should we teach them? Or just observe? Another muttered without looking up. You can tie-dye anything that's white and 100% cotton. A lab coat is just fabric. A third piped up from the back. Technically, other natural fibers like rayon, linen, hemp, or silk also work well. No one laughed. Instead, one monkey pressed a button, and the air filled with canned chuckles, pre-recorded audience laughter echoing through the branches. A track on loop, ready for whenever they thought they'd told a joke. The family stood in silence. One monkey tilted its head, its green light eyes narrowed. We might have some dumb ones after all. Then the act dropped. The monkeys broke into guttural hoots and gorilla roars, scrambling upward in a blur of claws and tie-dye sleeves. In seconds, they were gone, vanishing into the canopy above. The silence that followed was worse. The next branches were different. Not drills or worms, not webs or owls. Something stranger. A line of bright lights snapped on across the trunk. Signs, booths, flags. The Carnival of Games. It was scientists' work, unmistakably. Riot muttered as they stepped onto the garish midway. Let me guess. Another bunch of brainiacs who don't know how to fight, so they built carnival games instead? Kalm grimaced. Don't forget the sharks. Remember them? Underwater haunted house, all to keep the jellyfolk distracted while they covered up a mirror hole in the ocean. Scientists always go weird with it. Grandpa Fury growled, eyes scanning the gaudy rows of attractions. Whack-a-mole with piston arms. A ring toss with glowing hoops that tried to bite back. A Ferris wheel made of gears that never stopped turning. Great, he muttered. The last time I trusted a carnival, I lost a kidney. Instead of fangs or fire, this branch attacked with games. A carnival of puzzles, traps, and nonsense, each more absurd than the last. First came the cube maze. Floors slid, walls rotated, and whole sections spun without warning. Riot braced against one wall, armor-scraping sparks. Careful, left side's about to... Clang! The floor flipped under Grandpa Fury, dumping him face first. Fury spat bark chips. That wasn't a maze, that was cheating geometry. Next was the mirror hall. Their reflections didn't fight, they mocked. Riot's double smirked, all confidence. Kalm's reflection looked untouchably perfect, every move elegant. Fury's, younger, faster, smug. Kalm growled. I hate this already, Riot smirked. You're mad because she's prettier. Kalm. Shut. Up. Grandpa Fury swung a mirrored fist through his double's face. There. Fixed it. Then came the escape rooms. One door locked until they cleared a target with a blowgun, 17 darts to erase a star-shaped ink blot. Kalm lined up a shot, missed, and hissed. Not fair. Who even uses darts? Riot. Apparently us. Fury grumbled. Grabbing the blowgun, he blasted off 5 darts in a row, all terrible. See, rigged. The darts curve. Another chamber had a cyborg piglet with a key tied to its collar, squealing as it dodged around their feet. Riot dove. Missed. Kalm lunged, slipped. Grandpa Fury finally just roared, scooped it up under one arm, and ripped the key free. He held it up like a trophy. Ha! Bacon solves everything. Finally the worst, the falling grid floor. A wide hall of glowing tiles stretched before them, each panel etched with strange numbers. Step wrong, and it dropped into black. Riot crouched low, studying the grid. The numbers are hints, they're marking danger zones. Kalm snorted. Or they're just fake. He grinned. Only one way to test it. He stepped carefully, counting beats. Each heavy armor thud echoed, but somehow he made it across, even managing a showy spin before landing safe. See? Fun, Kalm hissed, furious. Fun, you just bragged your way across a death trap. She followed, quick and precise, and when she stumbled once, she screamed louder than necessary before catching herself. Second place. Still counts. Grandpa Fury went last. He stepped, dropped, climbed back up, stepped again, dropped again. By the fourth time he was fuming. This is random. Numbers don't mean anything. Riot. Grandpa, they literally do. Fury cut him off with a roar and just charged. Panels fell behind him like dominoes, but his sheer speed and stubbornness outpaced the trap. He hurled himself onto solid ground, panting. He jabbed back at the glowing grid. Not a puzzle. A scam. The last trap spat them out into a chamber of blinding walls, lights, floor, everything gleaming sterile. Then came the steam. Riot coughed, wiping at his face. Riot, great. Now we smell like fabric softener. Fury sniffed his arm, unimpressed. More like lemony fresh. Guess that's what passes for torture these days. Before they could gripe further, shadows shifted. The tie-dyed lab coat monkeys sat above them, watching replays of every stumble and fight projected on shifting holograms. Their eyes glowed with calm, clinical judgment. Monkey 1, we don't fight. Our work is academic. Testing is what we do. Monkey 2, tapping a tablet. Report will be compiled later. And with that, they turned away, dismissive, like the family had never mattered beyond the data. The only path was up. Another steam vent roared, taller and stronger than the rest. Instead of risking it separately, the three lashed together canvas and gear into one massive platform. The blast launched them skyward like a freight elevator made of fire. Halfway up, Kalm squinted. Kalm, so is this the part where we do the classic elevator fight? Riot peered over the side, pale. Riot. God, I hope not. Looking down makes me woozy. Guess being scared of heights runs in the family, huh, Grandpa? Fury deadpan. I have no idea what you're talking about. And if anyone asks, you tell them we fought 50 enemies here. Elevator fights are all the same anyway. Riot and Kalm in unison. Sure, sure, Grandpa. The vent hurled them higher still. The air grew thin, hushed. Kalm, frowning. Is it getting dark out? Night can't have fallen that fast. That's not night. The canopy's blocking out the light. Then it came. Not sound, but sensation. A ripple that crawled under their skin. From the branches above dropped shapes. Bronze-furred bats with craniums like satellite dishes. Their ears stretched impossibly wide, glowing with etched circuits. One screeched. The world fractured. Heartbeats dragged like hours. Every motion slowed into sludge. The bats flickered like lightning, cutting through the stalled air. Predators in fast forward. The family caught in nightmare slow motion. The bats' cries stretched time thin as tar, each screech pulling seconds apart until even breath felt like drowning. The hummingbirds arrived in flashes of silver, needle beaks like living hypodermics, armored wings glittering. They cut through the air with cruel precision, perfectly synced to the bat's pulse. Every strike landed before it was even seen. Riot's blade dragged like it was underwater. Grandpa Fury's fists clenched, but each swing came too late. The birds nicked and poked, pain blooming delayed but sharp like a cruel echo. Hopeless. Until Kalm snapped. Her hammer hit the bark in rhythm. She stomped and beat. Swung again. Eat. Sleep. Rave. Repeat. The bats' screech wavered. The hummingbirds tilted their heads, voices shrill and mocking. Hummingbirds. 5,000 beats per minute? That's nothing. We aren't even trying. Kalm didn't stop. Her grin widened, feral. She spun the hammer faster, harder, until the heads blurred, then stopped spinning altogether. The whole weapon vibrated. The sound ripped through the hollow like a counterwave. Not a beat, a pulse. The bark itself trembled. Riot winced at the hammer, lips curled in that perfect mix of confusion and disgust. He didn't need to say anything. His expression screamed, "What the hell is that noise?" The pulse deepened, thrumming bone and blood colliding with the bat's cry. The time field cracked. First in sparks, then in waves. Riot gasped as his limbs unstuck. First fingers, then arms, then the rest. Fury roared, shoulders free, eyes blazing. Then, reversal. The vibration flipped. The bats faltered midair. Their wing beats slowed, stretched, the hummingbirds blurred, desperate, until their speed turned syrup slow. Riot, Kalm, and Fury moved at full pace again. Their enemies didn't. Every strike that had once landed too fast now came sluggish. Grandpa Fury casually sidestepped a bat's dive and socked it into the wall with a backhand. Riot carved a hummingbird mid-flight, shaking his head at its squealing, drawn-out "noo." Kalm twirled her hammer once, dropped it like a mic, and watched them stall in midair. Armor plates popped loose. One hummingbird flailed, its silver peeling away like foil. Another tried to screech, but its words crawled out slow as molasses. Hummingbird. Enough. Enough. They collapsed in a heap, wings twitching, unable to fight the rhythm. Finally, one bird darted forward, if you could call it darting, each wing beat dragging like a bad slow-mo replay. It bowed so low its beak clinked the bark. We yield. Please. We'll give you hummingbird rides whenever you need faster travel. The hollow went quiet except for the low thrum of Kalm's hammer. The family exchanged looks. Riot snorted, shaking his head. Riot, so what, now we've got Uber birds? Fury, better than walking, especially if they're free. Kalm just humphed, tapping her hammer once more for emphasis, a victory beat. Riot clutched the feathered harness, squinting into the wind. So what is this, Uber? Kalm deadpanned. No, definitely lift. Look, overpriced, shaky, and you regret it halfway up. Grandpa Fury cackled, gripping his bird by the scruff like a stubborn mule. Lift, huh? Then somebody better give me 5 stars for not screaming the whole way. Riot smirked, but his voice pitched over the roar. You were screaming, Grandpa. Battle cry. Fury snapped back, knuckles white. Not screaming. Don't get it twisted. And so the family skipped ahead. The slowed hummingbirds ferried them upward in streaks of silver and green, shimmering like blades through the mist. They darted between steaming vents and knife-edged leaves, slipping higher and higher until the canopy blazed into view. There, the air shifted. Golden-armored hummingbirds stood in formation, radiant in the filtered sun. Archers drew bows of shimmering wire. Sword-bearers bristled, their wings clicking in sync. Lancers tipped their spears downward, each one gleaming like a fallen star. But before the strike could fall, their leader stepped forward, feathers plated in gold, his helmet a sweeping crest like a painter's brush dipped in firelight. He raised a wing, and the entire squad froze in precision. The silver flock is already defeated, he intoned, voice amplified by the air itself. His gaze cut toward the trembling hummingbirds still ferrying the family upward. They will report their failure, but your declaration stands. His eyes sharpened, reluctant yet respectful. We will honor it. We stand down. The guard withdrew as one, wings folding in perfect symmetry. The air cleared, and the canopy above opened like a cathedral roof. For the first time in hours, the climb seemed clear. But only for a moment. The rainbow-winged birds appeared, vast arcs of color streaming behind them as they swirled in spirals, weaving figure-8s around a colossal thorny nest. The nest itself floated on jets of gold and smoke, humming like a fortress made to fly. From within, a great mother bird stirred, her plumage a shifting kaleidoscope of impossible colors. Only the strongest protect this land, boomed the voice. Not hers, but all their voices, hundreds of throats amplified through hidden speakers. Submit, or prove yourselves. As one, the rainbow birds drifted to the nest's edge. Their wings darkened the sky. Then the world cracked. On an otherwise perfect blue afternoon, lightning tore across nothingness. The illusion split, and above the tree's crown, a storm roared into being. Not a hole, but a mirror portal, a churning black circle anchored in the air, lightning splitting it into shards of blinding white. And inside, another world. The mirror realm of wind. A second sky, swirling endless gales, every gust screaming hard enough to snap towers. Lightning arced again, fracturing clouds into shards of silver. Winds poured outward, tearing bark, ripping branches, scattering leaves into the storm. The crown had opened. The portal above the crown tore wider, spitting out a storm of wings. Cyborg flying squirrels, hundreds, maybe thousands, dove in formation, lightning running through the membranes that stretch between their chrome-stitched arms and legs. Their eyes glowed green. Their chittering carried on the gale like static. At their head, the ambassador squirrel returned, forearm controls blazing with storm sigils. Every flick of its claws bent the wind, whipping the lightning sideways, shaping the battlefield into chaos. Grandpa Fury didn't wait. He dropped low, mirror arms flashing, and bellowed over the storm. "Player one ready." Then he shot upward, fist first, catching a squirrel in the jaw with an arcade uppercut. It spun out, sparking as it vanished into the black. He landed hard, ducked, and immediately launched into a spin kick that cracked 3 more in a blur. Crouch combo! Extra bonus round! Kalm spun her hammer into helicopter mode, teeth clenched, every beat sharp in her throat. The weapon whirred so fast the storm itself hissed. Then she launched skyward into the flock, her rhythm cutting through the chaos. "Grandpa," Riot shouted, sword raised, dagger close against his chest, deflecting claws with precise parries. "Stop narrating yourself!" Sparks sprayed with every strike as he countered, eyes locked forward, instincts sharp. But Grandpa was in his own arcade. "Mirror spin finisher! Insert coin to continue!" he roared, chaining an uppercut into a crouch punch, then using the falling body of a squirrel as leverage to launch himself higher, right into the swarm. Each knockout looked more ridiculous than the last, but momentum itself seemed to carry him further up into the storm. Riot groaned, muttering through gritted teeth as he slashed and dodged. "It's like my little sister's playing co-op. Lucky the controller's even plugged in." Kalm didn't answer, except to push her rhythm louder. Eat, sleep, rave, repeat. The ambassador squirrel twisted through the lightning, impossible to pin down. Every time Kalm swung, it darted out of reach, membrane catching the storm's gale like a sail. She pressed closer, tighter, until finally her hammer connected. Sparks detonated, metal shrieked, and the squirrel faltered. Kalm dropped with it, hammer raised for the finishing strike, but claws blindsided her midair, dragging her down in a spinning crash of fur, chrome, and lightning. The leopard clash. The storm ripped apart in a flash of kaleidoscope camouflage. The cyborg leopard burst through, hide flickering with mirrored shards of color that bent and broke the eye. It hit Kalm with the force of a landslide, tumbling her into the mud and storm below. Hammer and claws locked, they rolled across bark slick with rain, every strike desperate, brutal. Kalm twisted, teeth bared, her hammer wedged against its throat as they wrestled. The leopard's optics flared, golden light crackling like a dying sun. She pressed harder, lips curled, and forced her rhythm through clenched teeth. Submission enough, or humph, humph. The leopard stilled beneath her, growl rattling, golden lenses flickering between fury and reluctant surrender. Its tail lashed once, then fell still. But above them, the storm's roar swelled louder. The squirrels regrouped, the ambassador's controls flaring back to life, and lightning forked across the portal's rim. The gauntlet wasn't finished. Not yet. The world fractured. Light bounced through 1,000 mirrored shards, bark, glass, oil sheen leaves, until the whole branch turned into a spinning prism. Every angle reflected another, each reflection a lie. The storm outside became trapped inside, a kaleidoscope of color and confusion. From the glare, the cyborg leopard re-emerged, armor pulsing with refracted stripes. Beside it, the chameleon slid into view, skin rippling in glitching tones, bending light and sound until nothing stayed still. Together, they remixed reality. The leopard's claws appeared from nowhere, one scratch, one displaced breath, gone. The chameleon blurred edges, echoing voices in the wrong places, making friend look like foe for half a heartbeat. Vision was useless. Instinct was all they had. Kalm kept her rhythm, low and steady. Riot ducked under a phantom strike. Do I keep hearing this, or is it just stuck in my head? It's giving me anxiety. There aren't even lyrics. Kalm didn't answer, just drove it louder. Eat, sleep, rave, repeat. The sound cut through the distortion, gave them a pulse to follow when sight betrayed them. The kaleidoscope shimmered harder, fragments spinning faster, every reflection like glass teeth closing in. Back to back to back. They closed ranks, shoulder to shoulder, forming a triangle. Kalm in front, Riot right, Grandpa Fury left. No words, just rhythm. A scrape, A shout. A swing. Each motion echoed in the others. Hammer swing, mirrored punch, sword parry. Their attacks chained like percussion. Impact, recoil, recovery. Again. Kalm's beat never broke. Humph, humph, humph. Eat, sleep, rave, repeat. Humph, humph, humph. They fought by sound alone, reading the storm like music. Every note another heartbeat, every pause a dodge. Then, with one final clash of mirror-bright claws and hammer sparks, the kaleidoscope collapsed, exploding into a glittering rain of color. Fragments drifted through the canopy, catching the fading light. The crown bird. From above, the rainbow-winged birds gathered, spiraling around the wreckage in concentric rings. Their glow painted the air in streaks of green, gold, and crimson. At the center descended the crown bird, vast and radiant, wings fanning lightning. Its voice rolled through the branches like thunder given words. Open quote. "You have proven you can fight," it boomed. "But can you endure?" Close quote. A fresh gust tore through the canopy, scattering the last shards of color as the next trials stirred above. They sat upon the golden nest at the top of the tree's canopy, surrounded by clouds that glowed with refracted light. Below, the trunk stretched down forever, layer after layer of branches fading into mist. Above, the storm gathered, a crown of rainbow lightning coiling around the mirror portal like a halo gone wrong. The mirror hole churned in the sky, a reverse moon swallowing the blue. Each pulse of light bent the air, bending color itself until even the rain shimmered with unnatural brilliance. And then the rain turned weapon. Each drop refracted into a tiny prism, a perfect rainbow shard that stung when it hit skin. The battlefield blurred under the storm, colors splitting, rejoining, and splitting again until sight itself became treacherous. For the first time since the Gauntlet began, all three were separated, stranded on different spires of the crown. Riot's trial, the mosquito swarm. They came like smoke. Thousands of metal mosquitoes, wings whirring so fast they sang like violins. Their eyes blinked red, synchronized with each beat of the storm's lightning. Riot swung wide, armor gleaming. "Cute. You're fast, but I'm invincible." He was wrong on one count. His family armor held, yes, but the swarm wasn't aiming for damage. They were testing his patience. Every dodge made the stingers hum closer. Every miss made the armor vibrate. It was death by irritation. He growled, twisting, eyes catching one mosquito drifting too close to another's exhaust vent. Its flight stuttered. Lag. He smirked. Found the lag spike. Riot pulled a smoke bomb from his belt, popped it midair. The haze swallowed the swarm whole. The mosquitoes faltered, confused by the interference. Their formation broke, and Riot cut through them in flashes of silver and green, rhythm returning with every strike. Kalm's trial, the judgment crowd. Kalm's perch was chaos of another kind. She stood before a tribunal, cyborg tree denizens, half human, half machine, and even a floating jellyfolk tub, its tendrils flickering like courtroom lights. "Your attacks destroy more than they save," one barked. "You broke a steam bridge and a sanctuary gate in the same hour," another hissed. A dozen voices rising condemning, each one a replay from the Gauntlet's past trials. Her hammer hung low, dripping rainbows and oil. She stood silent at first, staring into the blur of holographic accusers. Then, finally, Kalm breathed deep and said, "In the moment, you hit what you have to hit. That's not rage, that's survival. But fine, I'll train harder. I'll do better." The crowd paused, then nodded, glitching away, leaving only silence and the echo of her words. She stood alone in the prism rain, colors rippling off her armor, the reflection of self-doubt now faintly smiling back. No tricks, no puzzles, no more gauntlets or games, just a storm made flesh. The crown bird descended, wings wide enough to eclipse the sky, every feather like a blade of light refracted through rain. Its cry shook the canopy, tearing bark from the branches and splitting clouds into spiraling rings. The rainbow mist from the storm halo painted everything in colors too bright to name. Riot was first to move. He stepped into the gale, armor flashing like a signal flare, eyes narrow against the whipping wind. Every strike he made was heavy, each counter landing harder than the last. The storm's rhythm tried to swallow him, but he matched it, beat for beat, until even thunder seemed to follow his timing. Then Kalm leapt in, hammer spinning so fast the air itself screamed. She broke through gust after gust, the weapon turning into a blur of light. Every impact splintered rainbows across the battlefield, scattering like glass. "Keep it off balance," Riot shouted. Keep breathing. Kalm shot back, her voice cracking through the wind. They moved as one, a perfect counterpoint of chaos and control. When Riot faltered, Kalm struck. When she was thrown, Riot was already there, blade braced, armor flaring with reflected light. The crown bird dove, pure force, golden armor glinting, feathers cutting the air like razors. But they held their ground. Hammer met wing, sword met storm. The clash lit the canopy like sunrise. At last, both siblings dropped to one knee, battered, gasping, steam rising from their armor and skin. Across from them, the crown bird hovered, tattered but proud. Its eyes shimmered, not with rage, but with recognition. Open quote, "We recognize your roots," it said, voice like rain hitting glass. Not slaves, not rivals, equals. Close quote. The wind stilled. The world exhaled. The rainbow tree shimmered once, then began to sink, its roots curling peacefully into the soil below. The storm passed, the light turned gentle, and for the first time, Riot and Kalm stood victorious, not as students, not as heirs, as warriors. Grandpa Fury stomped onto the platform, veins of mirror light crawling up his arms, his reflection flickered in the storm-wet bark beneath his boots. He planted his mirrored fists against the ground and glared up into the storm. "Don't tell me I came all this way and you don't have a fight for me," he barked. "Or wait, saving the best for last? I get to fight royalty?" The sky rumbled back, not thunder, laughter. A voice rolled through the clouds. "We have something more your style to test. Heel or hero?" From the prism light stepped two silhouettes. Then the light solidified. A cyborg sumo panda, each limb a fortress, armor gleaming black and silver. Its belly plates rose and fell like piston shields, every stomp shaking bark dust loose from the canopy. And beside it, a slap-boxing penguin, wings wound with servo cables, joints ticking like metronomes. Every swing cut the air fast enough to split mist. Their handler stood at the edge, voice metallic with smugness. "Unless you're too scared for a handicap match." 2 against 1. Fury's grin cracked wide. "You call that a handicap?" "That's the best news I've heard all day." He reached into his sack, the one he'd been carrying since the Gauntlet began, and poured out razor-sharp metal Legos, scattering them across the floor like caltrops. Then, with a grunt, he jammed a drill worm head back onto his forearm until it clicked into place. Lightning from the storm crowned the contraption in arcs of white. "Let's get one thing straight," he growled as the Legos bounced and clattered. "I'm no heel." He rolled his shoulder, the drill whirring alive. "Lightning's fine. But if you've got fire, don't hold out on me." The match erupted. The panda charged, a living avalanche of steel and muscle. Fury ducked under, slamming the drill arm upward, the impact ringing like a bell through the canopy. The penguin blurred in, piston wings slapping with machine gun rhythm. Fury blocked, countered, laughed. Every blow he took was a victory. Every hit he landed was thunder. Soon, it wasn't a fight. It was a concert. Mirrored fists and piston wings trading beats, sparks flying like fireworks. Between clashes, the arena announcers whispered to the crowd, their voices half static, half awe. Strange, the one called Fury keeps asking for more. He demands handicaps, rematches. He calls it warm-up. Down in the crowd, the jellyfolk scientists from the lower branches murmured, half awed, half terrified, "Fury." The storm eased. The tree steadied. Down below, celebration bloomed. The jellyfolk, the icy ants, and the townsfolk gathered across the roots and gears for a grand warrior's feast. Tables bent under the weight of dishes. Fires blazed in metal braziers. Banners hung from bark pillars, each one shimmering with mirrored light. Even the gear tree cyborgs joined in, their mechanical chants half cheer, half song, echoing through the branches like old hymns from a new world. The Gauntlet was done. For now. Above the laughter, the rainbow-winged birds perched like lanterns of color, wings folded in truce. The jellyfolk king and queen raised their cups beside the icy ant queen, her crystal crown refracting every flame into stars. Together they plotted what came next. The jellyfolk offered trade, the first underwater hub stretching through the roots and riverways, connecting surface and sea. The cyborg ambassadors spoke of an embassy on Luna, carved into the silver dust of the moon. And the icy ants, ever practical, offered volunteers, their strongest willing to undergo the first cyborg symbiosis in history. The future shimmered across every surface, water, metal, glass, and wing. Then, at the canopy's edge, Aunt Glad smiled to herself. Nada, coiled loosely around her leg, flicked her tongue and hissed with contentment. Glad muttered, half to herself, half to the snake. Another one merged, another piece complete. The mirror realms, once scattered across dream and distance, began to bleed together. The ocean's waterfall now spilled down into the canopy's leaves. Volcano fires burned against the far horizon, their glow reflected in the gears of the tree. The campsite shadows flickered in rhythm with stories told by both human and machine. And now, wind and storm braided through it all, woven with rain and electricity. The Gauntlet had not just tested them. It had changed the land itself. Every realm, sea, flame, root, wind, had found its echo. Every people, jellyfolk, ants, humans, and cyborgs had found their mirror. Some called it territory, others called it research. A few, legacy. But none denied the truth. The mirror realms were now one. The feast shifted from ceremony to chatter. Plates emptied, torches burned lower, and the family gathered at the head table, the kind of table reserved for heroes who weren't sure they deserved it, but sat there anyway. Grandpa Fury leaned back, tankard in hand, grin wide enough to rival the moon. He thumped the mug once on the table. Of course we're first, he said. Season finale number 10. No one else made it this far. Kalm shook her head, still chewing. We didn't start first. Yes, we did. Didn't have to. Across from them, Riot frowned into his plate. Aren't you even worried this is the end? Like, no more stories? It's like a death. The Mac movement universal fog. They went quiet for a beat, just the sound of the fire and the hum of the rebuilt tree around them. Then Fury barked, half confused, half serious. What's the next season? Fall or winter? And how does that affect me around? Kalm sighed. That's not the kind of season, Grandpa. He blinked, then waved it off. Oh, never mind. The table cracked into laughter, loud, uneven, real. But the question lingered behind it like a ghost at the edge of the feast. Who would be next to reach this void of uncertainty? Riot guessed first. Probably the hat guys. White rabbit, right? Kalm rolled her eyes. You mean woolly rabbits? We bragging about rabbits now? Fury raised his tankard again, foam catching the torchlight. The replacements seemed formidable. Riot shrugged. I like Galactic Tournament, Kalm countered, leaning on her elbow. Yeah, but he wants community help with that one. Says it's too predictable. Needs like 4 more episodes just to hit a finale. If we're going by episodes, then Nurse Mystic's my bet, Riot said. Pretty sure that's his favorite. Kalm laughed softly. Or Trace 3.5D. Easiest to write, already the most popular. Riot gave her a look. You don't think we're his favorite? No, Kalm said with a smirk. We're just his anime option. Fury squinted into the flames. I thought World was his favorite. Maybe, Riot said. But that's the one he wrote and never told anyone else. No legacy, shadow ban, tipping economy, Pastafarians. Political stuff. Edgy. Kalm snorted. Yeah, and half the art's humanoid characters. The fire crackled, the feast roared on around them. But their voices had already moved somewhere bigger, past the table, past the world they'd fought through, talking about what comes next. The story's still rising. The world's still waiting.